Ciao, buongiorno a tutti ragazzi, un saluto di Inter Worldwide. Thank you for everybody who is tuning in wherever you are and whatever time it is in the world. I am joined by a special guest today, but I'll introduce my first guest, the usual suspect. It is Alessandro. How are you, my friend? Thanks for joining us once again on Inter Worldwide.
Of course, thank you. I'm good. I'm very excited. Today I was able to get a special guest from another podcast. And maybe it's not so famous around the world since it's in Italian, so you need to speak the language. Luckily I do, and I have a lot of fun every week. He's Giulio Di Cienzo, and he's one of the member of the vox2box podcast. And hi, Giulio, how are you?
Good morning, everyone. It's morning here in Italy, so I have
Awesome.
to speak about morning.
It's great to have Giulio.
Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit better? Explain.
You are right. I'm an Inter fan. We do this podcast called vox2box that is in Italian because we are all Italian based, so we speak in Italian. And no, apart from that, I'm here to speak about Inter. Thanks for your invitation, and I'm very happy to be here.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you, Giulio. So what we're going to talk about on the Inter Worldwide podcast today, let's dissect a little bit about the disappointing result against Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League. Inter are 2 draws from 2, and it's going to be a very topsy-turvy group with Real Madrid suffering poor results as well. Obviously, it's going to go down right to the wire, but some shaky times for Inter in the Champions League. I'll start with you, Alessandro. What did you make of our stalemate against Shakhtar Donetsk? And how do you like our chances, seeing as though the next 2 matches are back-to-back against Real Madrid?
So, as every other Inter fan, I wasn't so happy, but I wasn't so disappointed or negative about the result. We didn't get 3 points, but neither did Real Madrid. And at this point, these 2 games will be crucial for us. If you're talking about just the game itself, we didn't have any luck, first of all. We didn't have any luck with the referee, to be honest. And on top of that, we play a different team in the Shakhtar that we played just a few weeks ago, because a month in Europa League, because that Shakhtar was trying to create something, making mistakes, and we punished them. This Shakhtar that we saw just a few days ago was just trying to defend the result, which was super weird, especially since they play at home, and it's really hard for us to create something more, because we hit twice the bar, we had a clear penalty, and so we had our chances, and Martinez wasted a goal, an open goal, and so there are good signals, but we need to make the goal at least to win. Now that the defense is working, we need to score at least 1 goal. So I'm not so negative, and especially since Real is not doing so much better than us. So we should have still a chance to make it. Giulio, what do you think?
First of all, I apologize in advance if I spoke like Super Mario, but I'm Italian and I'm not used to spoke like spoke in English. So, but apart from that, the Shakhtar Donetsk game was very difficult because Luis Castro remembers the semi-final of the Europa League, and so he put on a very defensive team, and he didn't want to have any bad. Anything bad happens to his squad. He played a game because of the first win in the group, and so he do a lot of strategic. So also a draw. It's a good result in this group, and so he tried to put that at home. and it was a difficult game because against a team that put so many men on the defensive line and with the line so near to their goal line, it's always difficult. There was no space, and especially in the second time, he put even more emphasis on the defensive line, and it was nearly impossible to get to the area. But if you remember the game in the semi-final, we were 1-0 for 70 minutes, 65 minutes, something like that, and it was a similar game in fact. If you can manage to score on the first occasions in the first time, then everything changes. But you were not able to do that, and it was always difficult to find a goal when the pressure comes up.
Yeah, I would agree. I wanted to ask you guys one more thing before. I'm very strict against complaining about decisions that don't go our way. When Inter don't win, 99% of the time, I'm always taking responsibility for the team and the coach. But I can't help but feel the elbow and arm raised over Lukaku's chest in the box is about stonewall of a penalty as you can get. Just because this guy is a beast and is bigger than most of the other players and doesn't go down easily, that's no reason not to blow for a penalty. To me, that's a 100% penalty. Giulio, do you agree?
Yes, I agree, because in real time I didn't watch that so well, but in the replay I have the same idea, because it seems like more a normal contact on the regular vision, but then you see that the ball is near there, and the defender goes after Lukaku completely, forgetting the ball. And you can do that. But on Lukaku, we've seen in the last games that it's difficult to have some penalties because of what you said about him. He's big, and so some contacts are not so evident. It seems a long time ago in the NBA there was the same problems with Shaquille O'Neal. There's some. There wasn't some fall on him because he was bigger than the avversari. Oh, scusatemi, I had some problems.
It's all right. Yeah, the same thing.
Look, Alessandro, what about you, bro? You reckon it's a penalty for sure?
Yeah, sorry, not against Roma. The same thing happened the game before against Genoa.
Against Genoa was the same. It was a penalty, but with someone not so big, it was a clear penalty. But nothing to say about that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's just hope that, maybe he should go into the dressing room and just Conte should tell him to fall over a little bit more, and maybe we'll get a few more penalties. But as long as he's not falling over as much as Lautaro Martinez, because goodness me, he just doesn't seem to be able to find his form at the moment. But he's going to have to find form, Alessandro, because it looks like Lukaku has pulled up with a muscular injury, and we have got Parma in 3 days. So this needs to be a very big game for Lautaro, because he's probably going to part with Pinamonti, seeing as though Alexis Sanchez is still returning. I thought Alexis Sanchez, and I've got this little inkling that Alexis Sanchez is going to be fit. It's going to be one of those joker cards that is fit in the last minute and he ends up on the pitch. And that's why maybe they've been easy to announce the Lukaku injury today. But other than that, it's also a good chance for Pinamonti to get some minutes. We have been very heavily reliant on Romelu Lukaku, and we need to learn that this guy, as amazing and athletic as he is, cannot play every single minute of the season. Nobody can. So, Alessandro, what are your initial thoughts going into the Parma fixture this weekend, which, if we are serious about being champions, we have to win?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, probably it's one of the best games to have this problem, since Parma is not doing so great so far. So hopefully we should be able to compensate the injury of Lukaku with Lautaro, Pinamonti, and maybe Sanchez, unless you prefer Perisic striker as you did last time. But honestly, it's gonna be another difficult game. I can't see Parma repeating what Genoa did and what Shakhtar did. So putting 5 or 6 player in defense, trying to cover the wings. I mean, right now, the other option we had was to pass the ball to Lukaku that brings the rest of the players up. And now we need to do something different. I don't think Pinamonti can do that job, and Lautaro not for sure. So let's see. I'm pretty sure we had a plan B, and now it's the time to show what it is. Giulio, do you have any idea what that can be?
No, it's not an easy situation, because also in the last season, Lukaku was the second player for total minutes in the season, behind just Handanovic and by Little. So Lukaku is central in the game of the team, especially this season, because we are still managing to find the right movements and so on, and we rely a lot on Lukaku if the rivals let us do so, because with the Shakhtar we had some problems. And also in the last season, there are a few games in which Lukaku was benched for technical reasons, and a pair because of physical injuries. So it's a relatively new situation. We don't have him at all. And the Parma is anyway. I was thinking that Parma was the perfect game to manage to find some minutes of rest for him, because we have Parma, Real Madrid, and then Atalanta. So it's now we are forced to play without him, and we have to focus on Lautaro Martinez that need to step up, and then we'll see. But we'll see, especially for the game, because we don't have Lukaku on the right, that is our cornerstone for the game in that zone, that situation. And another important thing is which striker will play on the right side, because Lautaro Martinez always played on the left side when he played, and Alexis Sanchez usually get there when he's in the pitch. So we'll see what Conte will do.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of our lineup, I'm pretty sure, I've just been thinking it over in my head. It's got to be something like Handanovic. I don't think D'Ambrosio gets benched. He's just absolutely like popping up at the right time as he does. So D'Ambrosio.
For D'Ambrosio we don't have a substitute. So the only player that can play there without Skriniar is Darmian, and I don't think that Darmian will start in the position.
No, not in the defensive position. I don't think that. I think Conte fancies him a little bit more as a wing back. See.
Can I ask you a thing? Do you think Conte will ever play Lautaro on top and Eriksen behind, and then keep the rest of the team like the 3-5-1-1?
1-1.
Do you think that's something
a good idea.
Can even
100%, it can happen. It just depends how flexible Conte wants to be. I don't like placing too much emphasis on, the numbers and what position they should be, because a player as classy as Eriksen should be able to drift between all the lines and the sidelines as well. What was disappointing for me, boys, was when Eriksen was injected way too late in the 78th minute. He's injected as a trequartista who's meant to make those risky passes, or meant to, try something creative in attack. But he was getting the ball and playing very comfortable sideways passes, like he was reserved, passes that any midfielder could make. So that's not what I want to see from Eriksen. I'm a little nervous. I'm very nervous that the situation is not working out at all. And I have this feeling that we might be looking to sell him to make a huge plus Valenza profit. But, that's a conversation for another podcast, maybe sooner than we think. So D'Ambrosio gets the start. De Vrij. To have De Vrij leading the back line and Bastoni on his left-hand side makes me feel super duper comfortable in a fixture like this. You throw in an Achraf Hakimi and a midfield of Barella and Vidal and Brozovic, or maybe Eriksen. Giulio, I'll get to you in a second, but just in case you don't know, I'm Nicola Barella's #1 fan, and I think he's going to be the best midfielder in the world yesterday. So also, I think Ashley Young might get injected back into the starting lineup here. And for up top, I already said it. I think it'll be Martinez and Pinamonti. I'm excited to see Ashley Young get a start again. I've always been a bit of a fan of his. I know he's a veteran. I know he's getting on in his career, but he's very versatile and he's very smart when he's on the pitch as well. Giulio, would you make any changes to that starting lineup? Are you relatively happy with that?
No, but I'm relatively happy with that also because we don't have so much options. But for the same question, from the same question before, or the fact that we have Parma, Real Madrid, and Atalanta, I think that someone in the midfield will rest, and especially Vidal, because Vidal can't play every game, and is playing every game since the first game, and every game he started from the first minute apart Inter Fiorentina. And if he managed to get some rest, is in that game. But the only alternative for him is Eriksen. So I don't know if Conte will do something like that. And remember, I remember that Parma plays with the diamond in the midfield with the 4-3-1-2. But he's not in a great period. The last I saw the last game of Parma for vox2box because I have some problems, but with against the Spezia, they do a terrible match. The Spezia dominate the pitch. They were 2-1 until the 93rd minute when they get a penalty against, and they get also 3 pali, adesso non mi viene in mente come si dice. Post, grazie.
Post.
And so the Parma is not in a great moment, and I expect Liverani to do something like Genoa and Shakhtar. So get ready for that.
Okay, cool. Alessandro, you can piggyback off that. You happy with that lineup? If we rest Vidal, I might ask, maybe it's time Raja Nainggolan gets a start for this side again. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'm not sure what the situation is with Gagliardini and for COVID, and also Young. I thought during the last game he had some small injury. Is completely recovered or not? I'm not completely sure. I'm asking you guys.
No, I'm not too sure, but I think he will be in the lineup. I did read somewhere that he's expected to be in the lineup, but I can't quote that 100%.
I forgot about Nainggolan. Thank you. I'm not used to have him on the roster, so I forgot about him. I also play Young if possible, because also in the Champions League game he demonstrates that he is a smart player, as you said, and is important, especially for the passive phase. And so, but for Gagliardini, he just come back, and usually Conte never put on the pitch a player that just come back from COVID. So he's able to play, in my opinion, for Real Madrid. And I think that against Real Madrid has a huge chance to start, based on the other games, important games for Conte.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's talk predictions before we talk just some little bit of side news. Alessandro, going into Parma, are you confident? Maybe we keep a clean sheet with a solid backline.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure about the clean sheet. Probably, it really depends who is playing. But if it's not a clean sheet, it's like a random goal once we are winning already. Hopefully, I can think of like a 2-1 or a 1-0, but this should be a game that we're able to win no matter what.
Against Parma in the last years, there's always something incredible happening. So get ready if you see something strange, unexpected goals, unexpected protagonists, and so on. If you remember the last year, we got Caramo that looks like Garrincha and something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll start again for sure. I think he grabbed a couple of goals midweek when he was playing in the cup. So yeah, he'll definitely start, and I remember that. We scored the first goal, didn't we, against them? And then they just went bang, bang, Gervinho and Caramo in the space of 5 minutes.
Esatto.
And the year before was the super goal of Di Marco.
But also but also in the second game last year, we got the Gervinho goal, and we managed to win just in the last minutes. There's something, always something incredible when we played against Parma in the last year. In this moment, Parma is in huge problems because he is one of the worst offensive ratings of the Serie A. They scored just 6 goals, 2 in the last games on set pieces. So they have some problems, but this doesn't mean anything, as I just said. We suffer a lot, Gervinho usually, and Caramo also, and they are anyway. They are very fast, and we have to put some attention on the movements, and something that we have some problems with in the last games.
Yeah, fair enough. So, what is your prediction, Giulio?
I hope in a victory like 3-1 or 2-1, something like that, and I hope that we didn't suffer too much, because Parma is in difficult situation, and I hope that we didn't revitalize them. So,
yeah, fair enough. Let's talk about a couple of headlines just before we wrap up what was a nice short and sweet episode of the Inter Worldwide podcast. Stefan de Vrij looks an absolute shoe-in to renew his contract very soon. I, for one, am very, very happy for that one. This is coming out from Pedula this morning, or yesterday, whatever time it is, and whenever you looked at it. So his salary is said to increase suitably, which is fine by me. Pay him as much as you want. In my opinion, he is the best centre back in the country, and we have him as our leading centre back. It's amazing, yes, Alessandro, you happy? Giulio, you happy?
Yeah,
very happy.
absolutely.
See. No, you have to keep de Vrij on this team, because everything you said is valid, and he's one of the leader of this team. He's the best defender in the Serie A for the last season, and also in the season before he played so well. There is nothing wrong about that. You have to keep de Vrij in this team. Also because de Vrij is I told that already 2 years ago. De Vrij is a player that is incredibly underrated on a world level, because he's one of the best center backs in the world, not just in Italy. But he has no rumors on him at all from years on years on years. He's just here. He happens, but nobody seems to see that.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the reason for that is because Virgil van Dijk plays for Liverpool and heads the centre-back spot for the Netherlands. And then I guess everybody was in love with Matthias de Ligt after what he did in the Champions League. And because he signed for Juventus, I guess that's a little bit more glamorous. They don't really see the hard work that goes into it. And, I think de Vrij deserves a spot over de Ligt more often than not in that Dutch national team as well. But hey, if he doesn't get called up, I'm happy, because we all see how international duty treats Inter players. Fantastic, very, very good, healthy times.
I totally agree with the last sentence. It's much more important than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I will ask you another question, Giulio. How surprised and how happy are you with the quick development of a true Interista, Alessandro Bastoni? This guy really looks like he could be the next closest thing to Javier Zanetti in terms of passion and charisma and being attached to the club. I know, even for me, there'll always only be one Il Capitano, but Bastoni shows us everything. Are you a big fan, and are you surprised at how quickly he's developed?
Yes. To the two things. I'm very happy, and I'm very surprised, because I followed him in his career, and at Parma he was a totally different player, because Parma plays in a totally different way under D'Aversa. They played with a very defensive line very near to the goal line, and so he didn't have the ball all the time that we see in Inter. And he developed that characteristics very, very quickly, and he get a lot of personality, and he continues to grow up in terms of the tactical abilities of reading the game, keeping the distances, and is very, very important for this team, in future for the national team. And I'm very surprised, and I'm very confident that he will continue his developing as a player, and he will be important in Inter for now and in the future.
I agree completely. And if you notice in the last game, he was basically one of the two lower playmaker. He was on the left, and then on the right, D'Ambrosio was going forward, and one of the midfielder was coming back. So they had Bastoni on the left, and usually Brozovic on the right, trying to spread the ball around. And if, let's say, Bastoni had the ball on the left and it was close there, he was switching the ball on the right to Brozovic, and he could find the right passage, usually to Lukaku. So it's something very, I don't know, kind of unusual and important, and at this age especially, it's pretty incredible.
At the moment, he is by far the player with the most average passage on the team, and it's a great sign of personality for a player that is so young. If you see, he has 19 average passes a game, and the nearest to him is Milan Skriniar with 78. De Vrij is the third at 65. And for take the same role, Kolarov that is not a defensive player and is known for his ability to get the ball and so on, is at 53. It's a huge difference.
Anthony, I think you're mute.
Sorry, I am too, and I just started my sentence. Thanks for that, because I was just looking at the next thing to talk about. We have a proper glass man on our team. When is Stefano Sensi going to be fit and get a proper run of games? Boys, do you remember we started last season and this guy was our best player by like a country mile? And that's it. That's where it started and that's where it ended. Giulio, enlighten me.
But it's a sort of a mystery. So if I can enlighten you, I'll enlighten Inter also, because the last season he was already started and finished by 30 October. So we had this illusion of this great midfielder that could do nearly everything. And we didn't see him never again, because also in this season he started a game and then he disappeared again. Nobody knows precisely what he has.
He got a red card though.
See, yes, a red card against Lazio, and then he goes to the national team, and then he has this problem in his leg that Conte in one of his last interviews said he don't have nothing. We have to do more exams, and then we found that he have a problem in his legs. And now we start again with the muscular problems, and we see when we get back him, and then he have to re-get his form, and then usually he gets back with another injury. It's a strange situation.
Very strange. Alessandro, I've heard your opinion on it before, but talk about it again.
I mean, this last development is pretty absurd. I mean, even for Conte to go on the press conference says, I don't know what he has, nothing that I know, and we did the first visit and nothing came back, so now we have to do more because apparently he has nothing. I mean, come on, even if
crazy.
That's true 100%, you don't say that. I mean, if you're saying that, it means that probably you had enough on this BS and you're just calling him out. But I don't know. I mean, we all know that he could be a great player, and I guess he doesn't want to at this point. I don't know. I mean, it reminds me of the situation with Icardi when he had the ginocchio problem.
You know, the imaginary invalid, you know.
Exactly.
The problem is to link that with the Eriksen situation. The problem is that when Sensi played also in this season, the few minutes that he played, he demonstrated to have a much more understand of what Conte wants in his idea of play. more than Eriksen because of what you said before. Eriksen has that tendency to put some simple passes and then to find sometimes the special pass. Sensi instead has a more vertical approach, and Conte appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. Well, guys, that's all we're going to have time for this edition of the Inter Worldwide podcast. It's been a bit of a short one, but, with plenty of games coming up and plenty of short intervals, there will be plenty of content. What am I talking about? It's tiring. Giulio, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast, my friend, and I'm sure we'll have you back on again sometime soon.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, and I'm happy to be here when you want, when we found the time, because it's not so easy from Milano and where you are, but it's an honor for me.
That's awesome. 3 guys in 3 different time zones. It's tough, but you make it work. Alessandro, as always, grazie.
To the next adventure. Thank you, guys.
That's it. Forza Inter Worldwide. Ciao, ragazzi.